everyone. Welcome back to Thanks for the Trauma. My name's Olivia, and once again, I'll be acting as a moderator here today with the girls. I'll let them introduce themselves again in case it's your first time watching.
Tracy,
Angel,
Brandy.
All right, so today our focus is going to be to expand on a prior episode where we're going to be talking about Lesher Street. And this time around, I'm going to ask some questions so that we can get a little more in depth about what living there was like and how it made you guys feel. So I want to start with, because we just did our projects podcast, was living at Lesher Street before or after you lived in the projects?
After.
Okay, after. And roughly what time did you move here?
It was like 87.
87.
Beginning
yes.
of 87.
And how long?
Like 92.
So 87 to 92. So only for not as long as you lived in the projects.
Mm-mm.
And how old were you guys roughly?
11 when we moved there.
I was like
11
8.
or
I think I was like 13.
So like tween years.
Yes.
Early
Mhm.
tween years. Okay. So formative time for
Mhm.
sure. What was that area like that you lived in?
it was nice when we first moved there. It was really nice.
Well, I would have to say it's an area where it's near a bus depot.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of foot traffic always in that area.
Mhm.
So I think it was always a busy area. And then there's also 4 cemeteries at the top of the block. So that is part of one of our source of drama.
But the community was very
yeah, it was.
tight-knit.
Yeah, it was a nice.
tight-knit.
It was a nice.
Was it similar to the community in the projects?
Of the people, I would have to say of the people, I don't think we have as
I think
the
it was
bond.
the bond on Lesher Street was very close,
it's
more
closer.
knit
Mhm.
than the projects.
Okay. And you mentioned the graveyards. Do you think that is it because the area is very old there, or was it just
No, I mean they had these. It's like even in the Guinness Book of World Records or something. It's like the only place that has at 4 corners 4 cemeteries, and they all meet together. But the reason for us why it's significant to us because of the trauma is because it basically was only 5 houses away from our house.
Yeah.
Where when we were already underground, like under the steps, we were basically
Like
at the same level.
I mean
and that's where my dad's buried.
Yes.
Yeah.
So essentially, you're sleeping at the same level
Mhm.
as these graves and
Mhm.
as your father,
Mhm.
and you were very aware of that at the
Yeah.
time.
Yes.
And do you think that had I mean, it must have had a big impact
Absolutely.
on you.
Yeah.
Do you? Okay. That is really traumatizing.
I didn't make that connection like
I
you
have-
did.
No,
Like we're on like this. We're
No.
living like underground where these graves are, like
5
just,
houses
like,
away.
Mm-hmm.
Yards.
20 yards or 20 feet
So
away
we were like
from us.
we were like being buried with the people in the
And was that
sense.
something you realized later on, or was that something you really
No,
were aware
that
of
was really
initially?
it was such an eerie feeling. I mean, like just knowing that, like, because every time I was down there, like looking, I'm like, if I could see through the walls, there's all these bodies. I mean, hundreds and
I
hundreds
see.
of
Yeah.
bodies are laying at basically
like
just
the
a
same
distance.
level as you.
Mhm.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
has to really be scary to be.
Yeah.
I mean, how did living here impact your point of view on yourselves? We talked in our last episode about how living in the projects hurt your confidence.
Mhm.
How did living here either add to that hurt confidence, or if you had different experiences?
For me, it taught me to always keep secrets.
Okay.
And then as I grew, I learned that my life is not a secret. And to keep a secret is not the right thing to do.
Do you feel, when you say keep secrets, do you mean like not telling people what was going on inside the house? Or
Yeah, well, that we were never allowed to tell people what was
Mhm.
going on. It was,
What were those conversations like? Like, how was that told to you?
we were forbidden. You were not allowed. Whatever happened in that house, we
House had
were
to stay,
never
yeah.
allowed to tell anyone.
Even if the neighbors, for an example, even if the neighbors would hear screaming and stuff like that, one of
They're
his
like, "What
violent,
happened?"
they would say, "Hey, we heard all that last night." And you would think that someone would have called the cops. And who's to say someone didn't call the cops at one point?
Mhm.
But whatever happened behind the walls stayed behind the walls. And if anything leaked out or anything like that, that was instant punishment. You have to understand, like, if we dropped a spoon off the table or something like that, oh, you're grounded for a week. Just the simple accidents in life.
Accidents were not allowed to
They
happen.
weren't allowed to happen.
I said that before. Like, I was just peeking out the window, something like this, and the plant fell over, and I got punished in the basement for like 2 days.
Yeah. Like, we were never allowed to have, like, even a childhood act. If you fell or tripped, you were punished.
Yeah.
So this was really different than the projects where you did have some good memories. Here, it was like
there was
the
never.
extreme.
Well, I have to say, for the first 6 months of us living there and stuff like that, it was good for Angel and I because we had an upstairs bedroom. And that's another thing that's really hard to understand too, because these homes that we've looked at, both properties, it was a 3-bedroom house, both places. But when you moved this family and you said, hey, listen, these 2 girls are going to stay upstairs and these other 4 girls are going to stay downstairs in the basement. Why did he choose that? That's another thing I thought about afterwards and stuff like that.
That is definitely, I mean, it's curious because it's not even like you 2 are the youngest. You know, you 2 are the youngest. So it's interesting that you 2 are initially the ones upstairs. Why do you think that is?
Well, he always said because we were really clean and stuff like that. Go ahead.
I was the favorite.
And Angel was the favorite.
He never liked me.
Do you, like, how do you think that impacted you guys' relationship as siblings to be kind of?
I think they looked at us different in the beginning, and then once he got his way, I honestly, I think he had it planned all along that he was going to eventually put us in the basement too. You know what I mean?
Too.
Us too. We really didn't live in the room for a long time. I think he just separated them because why did the other kids not go in the other room? Why didn't it be 3 and 3 or 3 and 4, whatever? You know, it just never made sense.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing when I was first looking at these floor plans to see how many rooms there were, and knowing that there's so many children and yet the rooms are being used for storage and for animals. Do you think that your mom and JR liked living here? Do you think that they were able to, you know, either enable their habits or, you know, easier to ignore you guys? Or
I think it was just a bigger place for them to hoard more animals. And to get more.
I remember when we first got the place and they took me the one day because they were fixing it up. And I got to meet the neighbors before we moved. I think I just remember JR sitting and watching TV. Nothing had needed to be done because everything was already set up. Like, we could have moved in.
Were you guys excited about moving to a new place?
I was really excited.
Yeah, so that's the point. They would go down there, and I remember they would go down there on the weekend saying that they were going to go fix up the place, and they would leave us, you know, in the projects, and we'd have to stay in the house and everything like that. While they went down to fix up the place, which they weren't really doing that.
Yeah,
he
they
was just
wanted
watching.
To get away.
Yeah.
And I think this is a good question. Why did you guys move? Was it just because you needed a bigger space, or was it? Like, do you have any idea?
I'll be honest with you. I think what happened was the projects where we lived found out that he was living with us, and because that would have changed our rent. Like, because you have to, it went by like how much money you made. So my mom, I can't remember what we paid a month. I think it was like $30. It's something really crazy. But because he actually had a city job and he made decent money, I think that would have changed our monthly payments.
Oh,
so
I see.
it would have been better if we moved.
So it was kind of a we have to move.
We have to move, yeah.
But I also think it had to do with the income of something else coming in.
Yeah.
They wound up buying the house.
I want to ask, because when I was looking at these, there is, and we talked about this a lot in the last episode, there is not only so many animals, but so many different kinds of animals. We have birds, lizards, snakes. I know there were dogs. We even have, you know, not pet animals. We have, or creatures. There's bugs. There's mice. What fascination do you think JR had with animals? Why did he, or maybe it was your mom, I don't know. Why did they want all these animals?
So, you know what's really crazy is I think because animals, it's easy for you to control. They're so innocent. They
don't talk back.
Well, I don't think it was more of him having control over the animals and when he wanted to take their lives or anything like that. And like we had mentioned in another episode about, did I just say his name?
No.
Oh, okay. That we mentioned that how he liked to, you know, he could have gotten these certain creatures, dead from the pet store, but he
Right.
wanted to come home and do them himself. I think it was more of a control and able to take something's life, so something so precious.
Do you think that, and this is just me asking, do you think that he was genuinely psychotic? Like it, or maybe it's not the right word, but there's that kind of like warped, like I want to see something die. Do you know what I mean?
I think so, but I think he also had like split personality.
Oh
Because
yeah.
one he could be one way, and then it only one thing would happen, or just one split second, it was the total opposite.
I think I know that he had his own trauma that he did not deal with. And I think that, like Brandy said, he would be one way 1 minute and a complete different person the next minute.
I think, and I'm going to ask a big question that I think is ultimately the question of this whole podcast, but he's obviously somebody who, and there's so many people in your life who experience trauma and then doesn't deal with it and inflicts trauma on other people. You all are people who have experienced trauma, but you didn't inflict it on other people. You broke a cycle. So how does that happen? How do you have that moment where you say, no, I'm not going to do it like this? Like, does that just naturally come? Do you feel like there's like...
I think there's a time in your life you just say enough is enough.
When do you feel like that happened for you?
I definitely feel that happened definitely at a younger age. I felt that enough was enough definitely with watching the way we grew up, the smells, the dirtiness, the hoarding. There was no way I was continuing to live like that. Now, grant you, later on, the daddy issues and stuff like that, the abandonment and feeling like I needed to be loved, that took a little bit of time. But other than that, I was not going to continue. I was not going to live like that.
When did you guys kind of come to this realization where you're like, I'm not living like this?
I mean, after they broke up and I continued living with my mom, I didn't have a choice. I got another stepdad.
When you said you didn't have a choice, can you clarify why?
I was 14.
Okay.
So like,
you were too young.
They I think at that time they were already living together. And I was still living in it. But I just had a different dad and a new stepdad, and same thing. The dogs would go to the bathroom in the house, and every day after school I would come home and clean. And I'm like, I didn't have a teenage years. I didn't go and just hang out with friends. I came home and cooked, cleaned, basically for myself, because I was just tired of living in that gross nastiness. And then I like, when you guys were born, when all the nieces and nephews were born, I'm like, I want better. I want to love on these kids. I want to give them what I didn't have, even for my future kids. I'm like, I don't want to live like this, and I never want any kid of mine to go through what I went through. And like, I mean, I'm an OCD cleaner back in the day when my kids were growing up, and like, I would be rearranging furniture, but I didn't want them to just, have like pee on the floor, poop on the floor, like that. That's when I was like, enough is enough. And like, I know hurting people hurt people, but like, and then the things like, oh, mommy didn't know better. Well, guess what? We didn't know better. I didn't know better. And I was like, I am not living like this. My kids are going to get the world if I need to give them the world. And I don't want them to I didn't want them to grow up with that kind of shame.
Do you think that your mom actively avoided that sort of thought, or do you think it just never
had
occurred to her?
She had, yeah, because let me tell you, I was a single mom, and I could tell you right now, there was times I went without because my kids need it.
Yeah.
And I would do it all over again. There is no way my kids are going to suffer.
For sure.
There's no way.
And
There's absolutely no way.
And I'm a single mom right now.
And did your kids ever suffer? Because
no. And I didn't go searching for love with somebody else.
No.
Like, I am finding that love within myself.
Yeah. There's no way my kids were going to suffer
for
anything.
Brandy, I want to give you an opportunity to share when you think your moment was.
The thing that I think also, as we're talking about our kids and stuff like that, what is surprising to me is that it's not just her doing it to us. She allowed someone else to do it to us. And us as individuals, besides us not even doing it to our own kids, we would never allow anyone to do it to our kids because we would protect them because we went through all that pain and suffering. So I think my change, from the very beginning, I never wanted to be like them anyway. Like, even growing up before my mom, before our stepfather came into our lives, I was the one that was cleaning all the time, like trying to get everything like organized, trying to get everything,
I think
set
that's
up.
where I probably got learned how to clean is from you.
It's interesting, and I'm sorry to cut you off. I'm definitely
That's fine.
It's interesting because as we're talking, what I'm noticing is for you guys, it really started with cleaning. I feel like cleaning things is where you started being like, this, I don't like this, I want this to be different. And then that kind of led into the mindset of like lifestyle changes, because when you are a cleaner and you're in a cleaner environment, you have access to people of a better mindset, people who are, you're more comfortable letting in.
No, and I would have to say that mine got to an extreme where, like, even in my refrigerator, everything had to be facing a certain way. My cabinets had to be facing a certain way. And I got so extreme with it, and I realized it was taking so much time in my life. So I was the opposite, that I had to make a balance with it and say, hey, you know what? It's okay. It's okay if something
How
is
does
not.
cleaning like made you feel safe?
It made me feel safe that I had control, and I did not want to go down that same path. Like, with just the start of anything.
Were you ever afraid that you guys would go down the same path when you became mothers or do similar behaviors?
No, I don't know. It's actually really crazy too, because we talked about this. Like, none of us smoke.
No.
And we were brought up with cigarettes, like entire, like, none of us, it's crazy because none of us really ever really beat any of our kids or anything like that, or even put our kids in positions that we were put in as kids.
I had to spank my child once or twice, but I don't beat my kids. Absolutely not.
As one of their children, they
no, but what I'm saying, I know that we're trying to be like in a serious conversation also, but I'm talking about there's a difference of a smack and there's a difference of when you tie a belt together. Right.
And actually, I think this is a great moment to bring
Tracy.
it up. You actually recreated because you were trying to explain this item in which you guys were abused with, and it maybe wasn't being as clear. And it's funny because, not funny, but I've heard about it before, but seeing it in person is really different. We have it with us.
Yeah, the caddy nine tail.
The caddy. Why is it called a caddy nine tail?
It's something that.
So can we? I just want to say this first. Before, when he came into our lives and everything like that, he would use a belt. His regular belt. He would take his work belt off and he would hit us with that. And that, I guess, wasn't good enough for him or whatever like that. And then,
because he definitely wanted to inflict pain.
So then he made a caddy nine tail.
So I'm going to show this to the camera. So this is leather.
Yeah.
And
he tied it with duct tape.
Really with duct tape? This is like pretty accurate.
Yeah. This is pretty accurate, but I remember it being darker.
It was darker because it was like used leather.
Yeah.
And it was softer leather.
Like one of his old belts.
It was like one of his old
He got his belts together.
And then he taped pennies to the bottom of it.
So this is something that it has no other purpose.
Except to whip your ass with it.
Inflict fear and pain.
Is this something that he came up with? Or is this something that
he
designed?
He made it. He had his old belts. Olivia. And he cut these in pieces and stuff like that. And then he got the tape like this and he did this.
So this is,
well,
malicious.
But let me just explain this to you.
Yeah, please do.
So this is a piece of wood behind here. So because he needed to have the handle, because if it was just the belt like this, it would just be flimsy. But he wanted to have strength in how hard he hit. So if you feel that, it's a piece of wood. You put a piece of wood there to have his hand.
Was wood. That is that's just double. That's the closest I was able to get to it.
So he named it the caddy.
No, he called it a caddy nine tail.
Right.
That's what he called it.
Well, because cat tail, I guess.
I don't know.
I want to take a moment so the audience understands. So when you made this made you very emotional.
It made me, I had a complete panic attack.
Do you want to talk about that? You don't have to.
I only got to the duct tape part, and I literally had complete pressure on my chest, and I couldn't breathe. And I literally FaceTimed Angel and Brandy. And Angel came over immediately, and she sat with me while I finished it, and I was very emotional. And
it just brought up a lot.
Yeah, it just brought up a lot. It's very painful. It's very painful to even look at it.
Yeah.
It'll probably get burned when we're done.
Yeah.
Or trash something. I don't know. I just wanted to show it.
No, I think it's
very
important for
similar
the audience
to
to see something, even for me to see something like this. How do
to
you
even
guys?
see a
Alyssa has
picture.
a question.
A moment of education. It is called a cat o' nine tails.
Okay, cat.
And it is a whip. It is historically used for corporal punishment, and it's commonly used in the Royal Navy. And it typically has 9 tails
Okay.
with 9 knotted cords.
Okay.
I mean, to use something for, military men on children is just.
No, I don't think military men use this on children.
No. I'm saying
No,
this was used on the military, but for him to use it on children, I mean, that's just. How does it make you two feel, like seeing this?
I mean, of course, it brings me back to some of the times when he beat us with this and stuff like that. And then even my mom seeing that we were hit and blood coming from the side of our legs and stuff like that. He was always good about like hitting us in like the torso area. Of course, sometimes in the back of our legs where you wouldn't be able to see the marks and stuff like that. But it's really sad.
So that way people wouldn't know.
They wouldn't know that we were being beat with the belt. Or with whatever you want to call this.
I didn't get beat with that.
Why do you think you didn't get beat?
I think it went back to being compliant. When he said something, I did it because I knew that would be the result of if you didn't listen.
Do you guys feel differently about why he didn't beat her?
I do.
Do you want to share what you think?
I just think that that was his baby. That was his baby. Angel did no wrong. And even when Angel did get punished, it was not
when she said 2 days for a punishment. Ours always started with a week or a month.
The type of punishment we got.
Do you think the way he treated her was a manipulation tactic to like further y'all's own?
I think it was him using her against us.
That's unfair.
Yeah,
and unfair to you too.
I also feel that he looked at her as like his daughter because she was so much younger than us, and it was him. And I'm going to use the word grooming. Yeah. But it was his way of grooming her into his child versus we were too old to be his child.
Because she didn't, and she also didn't have a father that, so he's like, hey, I don't have to be in competition with anyone because her dad already passed away.
So your mom knew about this?
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
Did your mom ever use this?
I don't think so. I only ever remember my mom like slapping us, like, and she wouldn't even slap us, like even. She would slap us right in our face. It wouldn't be like
she would backhand us
all the time.
So, did you guys ever talk to your mom about this when you were younger, or like?
We did not have a voice. We were not allowed to talk.
So, when you got older, because I know some of you maintain relationships with your mom, did you guys ever bring this back up? Did you ever ask about this?
We had other concerns versus the belt. Yes, the belt was an issue. But we had bigger fish to fry and bigger, we wanted bigger questions answered.
But I also think that
Can you
us doing
that?
this, I think because of us doing the podcast and stuff like that, it is rejogging our memories on different things that we've seen and stuff like that. So it's bringing up different things. And I think towards the end of my mom's life and stuff like that, we really just wanted her to get the help that she needed to get. So she could, have peace towards the end of her years.
Yeah, I mean, she is definitely a complicated person that we can't, explore everything about in one episode. But I do want to kind of take a moment because I think the most significant, or at least the part of this property, Lesher Street, that stands out for our audience and even for me is the basement. That is really where this kind of conversation started. Angel, when you were going to start this podcast or even this story, do you remember the title that you were going to call it?
No.
It was Tales from the Basement, right? Or Breaking Out of the Basement. And that is because I think that this was a significant
The cries from the basement.
The cries from the basement. And it's interesting, from my perspective at least, because I've heard of this place in my life. And I'm looking at this now, and there's even things that stand out to me, things I want to ask about, if that's okay. So first off, how did you guys feel when you first saw the basement? Or what's your earliest memories of this basement?
I could tell you from step one.
Yeah.
I mean, when we first went down there, when you first walked down the steps, you had the little dog. It was like a cutting table, the groom dogs, the grooming table.
That was later on, though, not in the very beginning.
Well, when we first went down the steps, and then I'm just saying in general.
Yeah.
Then we had there was 2 monkey boards that we slept on. Those monkey boards then disappeared, and there were fences put up. And then a 3rd set of fences. Before those fences, there were because there was kennels, but then there were closets there. But those closets, they were metal closets where our clothes were once at. And those closets left, and then there were water troughs put down there.
Why? What are the water troughs for?
The water troughs were where we kept our clothes.
But what were they originally bought for?
Oh, they were originally where his animals were, upstairs.
Like his Gila monster, his
Gila
snakes,
monsters.
Not
whatever.
the Gila monster, just
The black.
Black tiger or whatever.
Okay, but I guess what I'm asking is, like, do you have your first
wet,
thought?
like what a basement is?
No,
No,
I'm
no,
saying,
no,
like, when
how
you
it looks.
entered, how did you first?
No, but
feel
I mean,
about
in the
it? Like,
beginning,
yeah.
It was.
I think in the beginning it was okay.
Yeah, it wasn't bad in the beginning. It was kind of like a new adventure in the very beginning. Like all the promises were made. Like we're gonna make
Fresh
this
start.
your area. Like they're teenage girls. You think it's gonna be their area.
Oh, because it was going to be redone.
Yeah.
And I think the audience needs to understand that in the Northeast, specifically in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, basements often are refinished.
Yeah, it was going to be
Absolutely.
refinished
Right.
into a nice basement.
So this was not refinished
No.
Nothing.
whatsoever.
No.
Like, was there even talk like maybe having a bathroom down
Yes, it was going to be refinished,
Yeah.
and it's going to be a refinished basement with a bathroom and all this stuff,
Like
and
our
none of
own-
it wasn't done.
there? Our own space. I
Yes.
say ours because eventually
Yes.
me and her did get kicked out of the bedroom and went down there.
Yes.
With them.
How
So
did that feel, getting kicked out of the bedroom?
We didn't even know why.
There was no reason.
It was just like, oh no, you guys are not going to be in here anymore.
Do you guys remember when your first conscious thought about the basement, or your when it changed for you, that you were like, this isn't an adventure?
Well, I think that once he brought someone in to actually put these fences in, I mean, these are metal fences with metal poles and stuff like that. So someone actually physically had to go into that basement and put those fences in there. And I always wonder about the person that put those in there. Like, did he think, hey, what's going on here?
Right.
Seeing all the stuff, all of our stuff down there and stuff like that.
Or even having the kennels start getting put up for the poodles to be stored down there.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like
that's when it was like, what is really
going on?
What?
Because that
Was
had
this
to take
person
up
not
space.
thinking? Was this person not thinking? There's children in this house.
Right.
So, Olivia, I actually have to say, each room of that house, and I've said this before, my mom had my mom wanted a lot, she hoarded a lot.
Yeah.
And so even when she lost her animals and everything like that, these animals being put into the freezer and stuff like that, for many years, I couldn't even have an ice cube or put anything in the freezer because all I would having dead animals with your food.
Right.
You know what I mean? So every room in that house, besides the basement, there was a trauma behind it.
No, for sure. I'm visualizing, because I can see why the fences and the gates would be so disturbing to you guys, because you're in this space and you're being told it's going to be refinished for you, but it's really, you get these metal gates. It feels like a prison. I know we use that word to represent your situation, but it doesn't only represent the situation, it looks like the situation. How did it feel in the basement? Was it cold? Was it
wet?
hot?
No, cold.
So in the summertime, it was extremely hot.
Hot.
In the wintertime, it was extremely cold because there was no heating down there at all. So you're talking about 0 degrees outside. It was 0 down there.
And now correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys were locked down there. And did a different dynamic take place when you guys were all down there together? Did anyone comfort anyone else? Were there any buddies? What was the dynamic between you guys?
Brandy and I would pair up.
And that's another thing. Being stuck down there for 2 months at a time, especially during the summertime and stuff like that, we would sneak out of the house and everything like that just to get a break. And Angel, we talked about, I think in one of our episodes, we said,
we
didn't start sneaking out until we got moved up to the living room.
Oh, okay, but I'm saying, but we were punished, Tracy. We were punished in the basement all day long. So then we were like, hey, you know what? We're just going to sleep all day.
Because what's going to happen now? We're going to get more punishment?
Yeah.
So downstairs, like back to your question, Brandy and I would pair up. So in the beginning, we had metal chairs, and whoever would get down there first when we weren't punished would claim those metal chairs to sleep on versus sleeping
or
on
even
the
just
floor.
to sit on, because there was like all 5 of us down there. 3 people had to sit on the cold concrete floor
To watch.
There's no rugs or anything like that.
Little
13
screen TV.
So there weren't like pillows or you're sleeping on clothes. That's what you have in here.
Yeah.
So, but there weren't always clothes or just.
Well, we didn't always have the water troughs.
So the water troughs came after. So we originally had the monkey boards, then we had the chairs, and then we moved on to these.
So the chairs were better than the monkey
Well,
boards?
before back up.
Sorry.
The monkey boards, then the monkey boards left, and we had the floor. And then
the 2 chairs.
Yeah,
we
got
the
floor and the
did
monkey
your mom
boards.
ever come down?
You know, I thought about that. I don't think so. I think she just stayed at the top of the steps. I don't think she ever came down. Do you remember her
She
ever
never
coming
did
down?
her wash, no.
But did she know?
Yeah, she knew.
And did you guys ever talk about this with her even later in life?
Later on in life, but she's like, oh, that never happened.
Yeah, I don't think I really ever talked to her about like any of this stuff.
I did, and it always got dismissed. So
do you think that she dismissed it? Why do you think she dismissed it? I guess is what I should ask.
I think she just had her rose-colored glasses on and didn't want to open her eyes.
Or admit to that she found us.
Well, she had to have known like that there was no bedding down here. Do you know what I mean? She had to have known that. Do
like,
you know?
For me, when I finally had enough of like I'm not gonna have a relationship with you anymore, it's because like she continued to live it the same cycle over and over again. You know, it was the poodles, it was like with Rottweilers, it was with just the Chihuahuas, like just different dogs, repeat, and I'm like, I can't be around you anymore. Like when I do come to you and say this is how I felt as a kid, that never happened, and just dismiss my feelings. And
so very avoidant.
Yeah,
no
and
matter
I'm like,
what.
I got to that point where I'm like, I'm sorry, you can't be part of my life anymore.
I mean, I know we talked about this in the last episode. As much as I feel for you guys, I definitely feel for these dogs as well, because you know they're being treated the same way you guys are being treated.
Well, some of these dogs never even went outside.
Yeah,
like think about that.
And a lot of them died there. So
and I mean, that has to do something to your psyche as well. Like, just see, how do you guys feel? Like, was that always something that was scary for you guys, or?
Well, I mean, you know, the thing is that, and we talked about this before also, like when these dogs died, you know, these dogs never made it in the freezer. These dogs made it to basically
a trash can. I saw it. Just picked up the dog and just threw it in the trash can.
So like, so it went from one extreme from like in the very beginning. So when we lived in the projects, our animals would go into, well, first in the ground, and then we realized that they were getting ripped up that way. So then we got cookie cans, and we put the animals in there.
How did you put an animal in a cookie can?
Because they were small animals.
They were the small
little
ones
cats
at that
and stuff
point.
like that.
Oh,
yeah.
I see.
And then when we moved here, these dogs, like Angel said, you know, they were just like, you know, just like regular
they
trash.
got heat stroke, and they just got picked up and threw away in the garbage.
And the other ones that the animals they really liked. And I don't think the only animals that he kept, I think, in the freezer that I remember were his rats. Mommy is the one that kept the dogs and birds in there too.
Do you feel like that desensitized you guys to a lot of things when you got older? Like, do you feel like no, like you still, like that would still be shocking?
No, I just can't imagine throwing an animal into a trash can. Like, how do you do that?
And if people still, I mean, if I witnessed any of that, I probably would go ballistic. Yeah.
I mean, even putting my dog down a few years ago,
Mhm.
I was devastated.
Right.
I mean, and just like witnessing all these dogs die when I was younger, that maybe that added to all that.
No, for sure. I guess I'm always shocked because it's so inhumane. Not even just the way you all are being treated, but also the way that these animals are being treated. And I wanted to ask. I did ask about that. I wanted to ask about the basement. How do you feel like having kids Do you feel like having kids changed the way that you view the basement? Do you know what I'm saying? Like before you had kids, was it like, how do I say this? When you had kids, you guys had to take care of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does it change the way that you viewed your mom putting you guys in the basement? Like now that you understand what it means to be a mother, like,
well, to
like
be
you
honest,
said, I'm trying to
I'm
say
just so glad Florida doesn't have basements.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, I mean, in where you guys lived up in Northeast Philly, you guys did have a basement, but it didn't look like that.
No.
It was like a store. So like, and it was a nice basement.
I guess what I'm saying is like by having kids, did it make you further understand why your mom allowed the things to happen
Hell
or
no.
made you less
No.
understand?
No.
Hell
less.
no.
Like, how can a person?
It made you feel more confused.
How
Yeah.
can a
Well,
person
not-
just continue dismissing her
No,
kids?
I don't think we were confused about it. We were just like, how could a mother do this to your
How
child?
can a mother not protect her children?
Well, that's my question. What do you think?
There's no reason why she should have allowed any of that to happen. Her job as a parent, as a mother, her first job is to protect her
Mhm.
children.
But I'm asking, and I agree 1,000%, but why do you think that she allowed this? Do you think it was full-blown avoidance? Do you think that she had a greater mental health issue? Do you think that she was just inherently,
Well, I mean,
you know what I mean? I guess I'm just trying to get the picture here.
She had no control. Angel's right. She had no control. He abused her also.
Mm-hmm.
He manipulated her.
But she's saying
But
when mommy got older and stuff like that, mommy wasn't with him anymore. Like.
But she's talking about.
I'm not talking about at the time.
Oh, okay.
She's talking about at the time.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was done when my mom was at work.
Mm-hmm.
However, she still knew what was going on.
Yeah,
in
but the
house.
other thing is she also got abused by him too. Like
Right.
we said many times, we came home, like we were saying earlier, we would come home and there was a tornado that hit the house.
She was his victim also.
How did you feel about your mom at this time period in your life? Like, did you?
He won her over, then he started abusing her also.
How did you feel about your mom at this time in your life? Did you feel like you just wanted a relationship with her? Did you want her as far as possible?
No, I think that I felt numb towards her. Like, and even moving out of the house and everything like that, I kept my distance. Even when I had my own kids and stuff like that, my kids would never be able to sleep over her house or anything like that. I would never let her take you guys anywhere, because if she didn't protect me, why would she protect you?
No, for sure. So you felt numb to it. And did you want a relationship with your mom, or did you?
Yeah, because I was still young. I'm a teenager. Of course I want that relationship.
So you crave that.
I just didn't agree that like she ended one relationship and just
jumped
right into another one without taking the time to heal, or
and then saying this is your dad,
or just like putting us first for once. She didn't do any of that.
No, I wanted a relationship with her. I still wanted, I still wanted that. Yeah. I still looked at her as a victim also.
I think it's important for the audience to know that because this is something I had to learn. I could never decide what the relationship that you guys had with your mom was. Whether I wanted you not to have one or whether I wanted you to have one. And that's the truth when it comes to people whose parents are abusers. You can't decide what sort of relationship they decide to have with their parent. I want to kind of ask one more question, which is a little different for each of you. We put, and I think as women, and two of you are single mothers, we put so much emphasis on the mom's role in all of this. I know your dad had passed away at the time, but where were your dads in this? Like, did they see this? Were they okay with this? Because let's be real, they should be equally as responsible as your mother was. Do you know?
Yes.
And I think that's a question that I'm curious about.
So I would have to say that my dad, he was a full-time roofer, and after he was done work, he would sit at the bar, and that was basically his life. Going to work, then sitting at the bar, going to work, sitting at the bar. I can say this, my dad I never got hit by my dad, which is crazy. Another person put their hands on me, but not even my own father. I would have to say.
But he wasn't affectionate.
My dad, not really, not at all or anything like that. He was very kind to us, though. He was kind to us, and he also,
he was nice.
I was going to say, he carried a handkerchief in his back pocket too, which I find really sweet, like to think about, like if men, like, if they would carry a handkerchief even today, it's a sweet moment for, to like if a woman needed something. So he did have some sweet. He was kind. He wasn't
Okay.
he wasn't like my abuser. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but did he know about this?
No, I don't think he knew about this
No.
at all.
I don't-
No.
No.
How do you think? Did you see him during the time period you were living here?
Not really when we lived
No.
here, because we were told, and it was back in the project, that basically we had to, like, you know, have our stepfather as our dad or my biological dad as my dad. We couldn't have both, so we had to pick between them two.
But it wasn't really a choice because you were living.
We were living
With-
there.
what
Yeah,
were
we
you
were
supposed
living
to
there.
do?
So what am I supposed to do? And so we really didn't have a relationship with my dad from the time that my stepfather came into the picture until I was a teenager.
And do you think that if your dad knew about this, anything would have changed?
You know what? I don't know. I to be honest with you, I don't know, because my
Okay.
dad, yeah, because my dad was in and out of relationships himself, so he wasn't like financially in a place where he could take care of us or anything like that.
But do you think he would have condoned this?
Oh, absolutely not.
Mm.
Mm-mm.
And Tracy, you have a different situation. Do you want to speak at all about that?
So my dad was told that he couldn't come around,
Right.
kind of just like
Right.
Brandy. If my dad knew about this, he probably couldn't do anything about it because his wife and family didn't know about me, so he
Right.
couldn't step up to the plate and do anything
Mhm.
anyway. So therefore, nothing could have been done.
Yeah, I just think it's interesting because we do put a lot of pressure on your mom, but you know, dad should be held equally liable. Is there anything else you guys want to say about this topic? Anything that you feel like the audience needs to know about this place before in later episodes you go into stories and more details about it and understanding that they should have?
Other than we had amazing neighbors
Mhm.
and they really took care of us, which we've mentioned before.
I love how much you mentioned that. I can tell.
They
it's
really,
Yeah.
they
important to
really,
you.
because honestly, they really did take care
It's
It was
of
like
a
us.
lifeline.
Yeah, that's what you think about it. You think that your neighbors cared more about you than your own parents, you know,
for sure.
And our friends.
and that they even still we have better bonds with them than our parents
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So
And Angel, anything you want to say about this before?
I mean,
we call it?
they never judged us.
Your neighbors.
Yeah, the one
Yeah.
they never did.
Even to like this day. I mean, they're some of the people that we have the longest relationships with are the people from Lesher Street.
Mhm.
I think anybody who would see this,
Mhm.
there could not be judgment on you guys' behalf because it's so evident that there was no choice and no power here. Do you know what I mean? Are we good, ladies?
yeah, I think so.
All right.
Yes.
Let's say goodbye to the camera. Thank you guys for
Thanks.
watching.
Thanks
Thanks
for the
for the
trauma.
trauma.